It was just after 10 p.m. when I noticed the reflection in the window didn't match the room behind me. The kitchen light was on, everything else in the house was dark, and I was sitting at the table with my laptop open. One of those quiet nights where every small sound feels louder than it should. At first, I thought it was just the glass, the angle maybe. But when I leaned slightly to the side, the reflection didn't shift correctly. There was something darker behind me in the glass. Not clear. Just wrong. I turned around. The hallway behind me was empty. No movement, no sound. I looked back at the window. The reflection was normal again. I tried to ignore it and went back to what I was doing. But a few seconds later, I caught it again. This time I didn't move, I just stared at the glass. The room looked the same, but that darker shape was there again. Closer to the edge now, it didn't behave like a shadow. It stayed too still. I slowly straightened up. The shape didn't react the way it should have. That's when something shifted in my chest. Not panic, just the feeling that something didn't make sense. I turned again. The hallway was empty, but it didn't feel empty anymore. I stood up. The chair scraped lightly across the floor. The sound felt too loud in the silence. I stepped closer to the window. That's when I saw something outside, across the yard, near the fence line. A figure. Standing still. Too still, it wasn't close, maybe 20 or 30 meters away, but it felt like it was exactly where it shouldn't be. I waited for it to move, nothing. Then slowly, it stepped forward, not turning, not walking away, just moving closer, in a straight line toward the house. I stepped back from the window without thinking. The floor creaked under my foot. I froze. When I looked again, it had moved closer. Still far, but not as far. I reached over and turned off the kitchen light. The room dropped into darkness. Now the glass showed mostly the outside. The figure didn't stop. It kept moving, not fast, not slow either, just steady. Then it stopped. Closer now. Still outside, but no longer far. And I realized something I hadn't noticed before. It hadn't looked away once, not a single time. It had been facing the house the entire time. I moved sideways, staying out of direct view. My hand brushed the counter, and something shifted slightly. The sound felt too loud. I froze again. Then I looked back. The figure was gone, not walking away, not hidden, just gone. That's when I heard something right outside the wall. Not far anymore. Close, too close, like something moving along the side of the house. Slow, dragging, stopping, then moving again, heading toward the front door. I stepped back into the hallway, careful now, trying not to make noise. The house felt different, smaller somehow. I reached the hallway and stopped. There was a sound inside the house, not outside anymore. Inside, soft, close, like something shifting its weight on the floor. I turned slowly toward the end of the hallway. The door there was slightly open. I was sure it had been closed earlier. I didn't remember touching it. I stood still, staring at the gap. Nothing moved, but something about it felt wrong, like I wasn't alone anymore. Then the door moved, just a little, not opening, not closing, just shifting. I stepped back immediately. The floor creaked under my foot. The sound echoed down the hallway. The door stopped moving. Everything stopped. I didn't wait anymore. I turned and moved toward the front door. Fast now. I reached it, unlocked it and pulled it open. The cold air hit immediately. I stepped outside and turned back. The house looked completely still. No movement, no sound, no sign that anything had happened. Then I saw the window, and in the glass, I saw the hallway, and in the hallway, Someone was standing there, right where I had been, facing the door, facing me from inside the house. I didn't open the door right away. I just stood there, hand on the handle, listening. The house was quiet again. Too quiet, like everything had stopped at the same time. I turned slightly and looked back down the hallway. The door at the end was closed now. I was sure it had been open before. I hadn't touched it. I hadn't gone near it. I let go of the handle and took a step back. Then another. Something felt wrong about leaving. Not safer. Just different. I stayed inside, just for a second longer, trying to figure out what had changed. That's when I heard it, right behind the door, from the other side, a soft movement, not knocking, not scratching, just something shifting, close enough that I could hear it through the wood. I stepped away immediately. The sound stopped. I didn't move. I didn't even breathe for a second. Then slowly, something pressed lightly against the door. Not hard, just enough that I saw it move, a slight bend in the frame, like something on the other side was leaning against it. I turned and backed into the hallway. Fast now. The house didn't feel empty anymore. It felt occupied, like I was the one who wasn't supposed to be there. I reached the middle of the hallway and stopped again. There was another sound from behind me this time, from the kitchen. Not outside, inside. I turned, slowly. The chair I had been sitting on had moved, not far, just slightly, but enough that it wasn't where it had been before, and it wasn't facing the table anymore. It was angled toward the hallway, toward me. I didn't go back in. I stayed where I was, trying to listen, trying to understand. But nothing else happened. No sound, no movement, just silence again. And somehow, that felt worse. I didn't stop walking until I reached the end of the yard. The house was still behind me, quiet again, like nothing had happened. I told myself that was all it was, just my head, just the dark, the silence, everything mixing together. I turned slightly, just enough to look back at the windows. No movement, no shape. Everything looked normal again. I stayed there for a moment longer than I should have, then I started walking back. Slow this time. Careful. The closer I got, the more it felt wrong, like I was stepping back into something I had already left. I stopped near the door. My hand hovered over the handle. I listened. Nothing. I opened the door again. The air inside felt colder than before, not just temperature. Something else. The hallway was empty. The door at the end was closed now. I was sure it had been open before. I stepped inside slowly. The floor creaked under my weight. The sound echoed further than it should have. I didn't go all the way in. I stayed near the entrance, just looking down the hallway, waiting. Nothing moved, but something felt off. Like the space was different, like it was deeper than it should have been. Then I heard it. Behind me, from the kitchen, a soft sound, not loud, just enough to notice. I turned quickly. The kitchen was dark. The window reflected the room again, but something in the reflection wasn't right. I stepped closer, slowly, trying to see it clearly. The reflection showed the table, the chair, and something behind it. Lower this time, not standing, not fully visible, but there. I stopped. I didn't move any closer. The shape in the reflection didn't move either. It stayed exactly where it was, like it was waiting for me to do something first. Then slowly, it shifted. Not toward me. Not away, just slightly to the side. Enough that I could tell it wasn't part of the room. Enough that I knew it wasn't supposed to be there. I stepped back, and that's when I heard something directly behind me. Closer than before. inside the hallway again. Not far. Not hidden. Right there. I didn't turn around immediately. I just stood there, listening, waiting. The sound didn't repeat, but I knew it was there. When I finally turned, there was nothing. The hallway was empty, but the door at the end was open again, wider this time. I didn't go closer, I didn't check. I just turned back toward the front door, walked straight to it, opened it, and stepped outside again. I didn't look back this time, but even outside, I could still feel it. Like something inside the house had seen me leave and didn't care